Hi everyone. We're gonna now go to the next step of trying to insert the Listen to plugin into our Reaper session. The first things first, we're gonna have to find said plugin on the internet and download it. You'll all want to do this that intend on using it. So I've already got it up here, but if you go to audiomovers.com, it will take you to the main page of the Audio Movers website, and their main product is the Listen to plugin. So I'm going to click this free download button. You're going to either download for OS X 10.13 or higher here, and again, you can check your operating system's version in the Apple About This Mac. I have El Capitan, which is 10.11. Yours would tell you what yours was. So if it's 10.13 or higher, click this. If not, if it's earlier, click this down here. That's what I have. Again, we're going to download and install that, and I won't go through the entire procedure of downloading and installing a program because hopefully you've got that on lockdown. Cancel this. So once you have it installed, again, Audio Movers is a plugin. It's not an application, so it's not going to, if you go to your applications folder, you're not going to see a listen to application. It's just not there. And the reason for that is that it's a plugin. It's not an application. But when you install it, you will be asked to restart your computer. You'll want to do that. And once you restart your computer and you open Reaper, you'll see it loading as you open in the open window. And then you'll be able to find it where you access your plugins, and I'm going to show you where that is. So plugins are things like reverberation, equalization, delay, distortion effects, all those other different fancy effects that you can put onto sounds to manipulate them. And again, I'm back here to my session. I got rid of a couple of tracks here that were extraneous, the other tracks I made, just to avoid confusion, because right now all we're going to do is figure out how to through this track that we now have sound going into, we want to apply the plugin so we can send the sound out of a link. So first, this here is your effects button. If you click it, this little window opens that allows you to add different kinds of effects. In the left-hand column here, there's VST. Sometimes this is like smashed over here. I can't even get it to do it actually. But yeah, sometimes it looks like this. Just all you got to do is grab this and have it slide it over there, and then what you're looking for is VST plugins, because this is a VST plugin. So we're going to look for, under VST, we're going to look for Listen to Audio Movers, and there it is, VST Listen to, and they're usually in alphabetical order. Now this is what the Listen to plugin looks like by default. Something you're going to want to do at the Audio Movers site, actually before you even get to this step, you're going to want to go up here to the sign up button, because even though you have the plugin, you still need an account to actually use it, an account associated with it. So you sign up, and when you sign up, it takes you to this, and you put in all your information, tell them you're not a robot, sign up, and that gives you a 7-day demo license. Now, the Fresh Ink Festival is planning to purchase a number of these licenses for the ensembles. And since this is a shorter time, you can pay for licenses by the month. They're about $10 a month or $4 a week. So we're just going to provide those. But for now, if you want to test things out, you can sign up, and then you'll have 7 days to have a fully functional demo. So once you've done that, you want to put your account credentials that you made up there here, a username and a password, and you'll want to hit login. I've got my username and password, and I'm logged in. Next thing you want to do is you want to name your session. This is essentially giving a name to the stream you're sending out through a link. So I'm going to name it just after my name, because later when people want to access this, if I just hit return, that enters it, then it will actually come up once they paste the link in or paste the link into their browser. It will come up as Ryan, so they'll know who's sending it. I think that's the best practice for an ensemble, is you just each name it after your name, and then it generates a link that's dependent on that name. And just so you know, the only time the link will change that it generates, now that you have logged in, pulled the plugin up, named it, and generated the plugin or the link by copying the link, the only thing that will change it is if you change this session name. So once you've decided on a name, try to keep that name. And also, it's a good idea to constantly be saving in Reaper, because you don't want to lose your work. So I'm going to save right now. You can see what happened there. And that way, now the settings of this plugin are also saved. Another couple things. So now you've copied your link. Another couple things to be aware of here is you can adjust the audio quality, for instance. The lower the audio quality, usually probably the lower the potential latency is, although I'll show you in a second you can actually set the latency. But it's going to be at least what the actual latency of the internet is. But the lower sound quality you're using, probably the lower the latency. And but it's a trade-off between sound quality and latency, essentially. And then the other thing you can adjust is the latency itself. By default, it sets to 0.5 seconds. It's a half a second of latency. That's an eternity in terms of music. Now, I know some of you are working with different ideas of latency. You might one day choose to actually increase the latency because it might be interesting to you. But what we're looking for is the lowest latency possible, so we're going to set it to 0.1 seconds before we do anything. So now again, we want to save this session because it'll, oops, not the plugins, the session, because that'll save the all the settings inside the plugin. And now, and again, remember we've got our record monitoring enabled. We've got our record monitoring on, and we've got our recording armed, or the we've got this track record enabled, and we're getting sound into it. So that's all happening now. So now if I hit start transmission, we start to see a little meter going down in the bottom there, and that means it's actually transmitting out. That's what's telling you the sound is coming out the plugin. So now that I've copied the link, I've hit copy link, I can go back to my browser, and in fact I already have this going, so I'll get out of that. If I start a new tab and I command paste into my browser window, this is going to give me a window now where I can hit this button that says start listening, and now you'll see that about 100 milliseconds after I talk, it starts to meter. You can't actually hear this. You can't hear this delay because I'm just using the mic as my source for this video. But if you do this yourself, you'll hear this weird latency between, your voice going into Reaper and your voice coming out of this browser. So this is the basic thing that this plugin does. It sends sound out via a link. So the first thing I think you want to do, first test, is make sure you get your track set up right, get the sound going into it right, get the plugin on it, get it all set up right, name your session after your name, because then that becomes your link that you can give to anybody, and then test it out. First put it in a browser on your own computer to make sure it's transmitting, because essentially it's going from here, it's going over the internet to here. So it's coming back to me via the internet. So do that. Call up some friends. Say, hey, open your browser. Send them a link in an email or in a chat or whatever, and just get them to open them up. See if this part works. And that's enough for now. All right. So enough to chew on. Again, I'm going to close this. I'm going to save my session. So now anytime I open this session, and I've called this test ensemble session, you might want to name it after your ensemble. Then I've got, I've got audio going over the internet. And it sounds really weird to me right now, but it won't sound weird to your friends because they're not sitting right next to you, right? They won't know that there's 100 milliseconds of latency. All right. So there we go.